rule on the case challenging the legality of the contract of the Cuban doctors. This is after a Kenyan doctor filed a case seeking to stop the licensing of the Cuban doctors to practice in the country. Dr. Samson Misango argues that there is no evidence that the country lacks doctors to fill vacancies in the public health system. He has sued the Health Cabinet Secretary, the Council of Governors, Director of Immigration and the Attorney General. He wants the court to bar the Immigration Department from issuing the specialists with work permits. A similar case was filed by 3 unemployed doctors, Samuel Duarte, Rio Maina and Francis Doku. They argued that they sued the parties. They were obliged to consider the availability of skilled Kenyans before going for foreigners. However, Director of Medical Services Jackson Kyoko justified the state's decision to bring in the foreign specialists. In his response to the case, he pointed out that the shortage of the medical specialists was the main reason the government had opted to recruit doctors from Cuba. All right, I want to bring in my colleague Caroline B, who's following on this particular story, joining us from our City Center studio. Caroline, good morning. So what are we expecting today? Are we expecting a ruling, or where is this particular case at?
Well, good morning to you, Betty. Looking at how the judgment, or actually the hearing last went, is that the court said that since they could not have any evidence of the operation of the doctors by the time, then it was actually pushed to today where the judgment is going to be delivered. Remember, the doctors arrived into the country on the 7th of this month. They underwent training at the Kenya School of Government just to familiarize them with how the county works and how some of these hospitals actually operate. And already the Director of Medical Services, Jackson Kyoko, has signed their dispatchment letters to the counties, and some of them have already reported. So the counties and the head of the counties, that is the governors, have already welcomed some of them. So looking at the judgment today, we shall actually be looking at where exactly it will lie into, since the court, we can say, already has evidence of the doctors who have started operations in the country. First of all, the court had said that since they do not have evidence of the doctors having been licensed and working in the country, they had not yet arrived by that time. But now that they're in the country, we shall be looking to see how that judgment is going to go. But Director of Medical Services Jackson Kyoko had already supported the move of bringing in the Cuban doctors, saying that the country does not have enough doctors to operate. But the petitioner himself, Dr. Misango, says that there is an influx of doctors, some of them unemployed, and therefore it is not fit for the government to take that move of hiring the 100 Cuban doctors, looking at the fact that some of the Kenyan doctors still do not have jobs. This is also an issue that had raised eyebrows with the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentist Union, which actually said that, you know, it is still not fit for the county, for the government to make such a move without looking at the plight of the doctors, also looking at the salaries of these Cuban doctors. When the salaries was rolled out, they said that the salaries of the current Kenyan doctors is not as per expected, according to them, and therefore it is against the Kenyan will of these doctors for them to be employed at the expense of the Kenyan doctors. Some of them have already been deployed to the counties, as I have said, and they have been welcomed. A red carpet, I can say, welcome for these Cuban doctors is awaiting them. So we shall be looking at how this judgment is going to go. It was set to start at 9 a.m. So it is something that we shall be following for the rest of the day.
All right, Caroline, even as we look at this particular case today, of course, the other doctors have settled in. Do we know of their whereabouts, where they are, what is happening with the process of induction?
Well, the ministry has actually gone silent on everything. When they arrived into the country on that fateful day, the Director of Medical Services did not speak to the press about that. Until date, they have not yet spoken to the press about that. When they arrived into the country, they were taken to the Kenya School of Government for induction and for training on how the counties is going to operate and what exactly will be their duties and responsibilities. But every time we try to reach the Ministry of Health, we do not get a word from them. Everything is silent all we know is that the Director of Medical Services has already signed the letters for the operation of the licensing of these doctors, but they have gone silent exactly on what these Cuban doctors are going to do, when they are going to be reporting, or any information about them. Everything is actually hidden in the dark. Betty?
All right, Caroline, thank you for that. It's a story that we'll be keeping an eye on here on a news center. And once that session begins, we'll be crossing over there live. All right, we want to take a short commercial break right now. We're coming back in a few moments to continue with our